Welcome to the Heart of a Viking. These art lessons are taught by Mrs. Minto from the Cape Henlopen School District in Delaware. I hope you have fun, create imaginative works of art, and make sure you share them with someone because, after all, the visual arts are meant to be seen. Bonjour, Cape artists, and welcome back to the Heart of a Viking. Today we are jetting off to France, where we're going to be learning a little bit about the Eiffel Tower and one of France's most famous painters, Georges Seurat. So, put on your thinking caps, grab your art supplies, and I'll meet you over in your art creating space after we learn a little bit about the Eiffel Tower and Georges Seurat. The Eiffel Tower has stood in Paris since 1889. It took 2 years, 2 months, and 5 days to build. The company that built it was owned by a man named Gustave Eiffel. The Eiffel Tower is 1,063 feet tall, and there's almost always a line to go up into the Eiffel Tower. When you get to the front of the line, you'll still have to climb 1,665 steps to get to the top. Luckily, there are also elevators. From the top, there's a 360-degree view of Paris. It can be particularly beautiful at night. The tower isn't always the same height, though. During cold weather, the tower shrinks and is 6 inches shorter. And when it's windy, the tower sways between 2 and 3 inches in the wind. When the building of the tower began, not everyone in Paris was happy about it. They didn't all love the idea of a huge modern metal structure in the middle of their city. Today, however, the tower is a symbol not only of Paris, but also of France. Many painters have painted the Eiffel Tower, and it can be seen in many films. People have written poems and even songs about it. It really is pretty famous. Georges Seurat was a French post-impressionist painter. Seurat painted for a time with the impressionist painters like Claude Monet and Renoir, but his scientific ideas about color led him to develop a different painting technique. He painted with lots of tiny dots. His theory was that the viewer's eye would mix them together. The technique became called pointillism. His most famous painting is called A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte, and it took 2 years to complete. He painted it between 1884 and 1886. This painting is a great example of how Georges Seurat used colors painted next to each other to create additional colors. For example, look at all the different places that are green. Once you notice them, notice that there are different shades of green. Georges Seurat did not mix different kinds of greens. Instead, in some areas, he made his green dots and put yellow ones beside them. And in other places, he made his green dots and put blue ones beside them. So it's just your eyes that mix those colors together. Pretty interesting. Now it's time for us to see how we can combine the infamous Eiffel Tower with Seurat's pointillism. Alrighty, Cape artists, let's begin our pointillist Eiffel Tower. Alright, to start, we're going to be needing a pair of scissors, we'll be needing a pencil, and we'll be needing markers and colored pencils. If you don't have colored pencils, then crayons will be fine, but colored pencils are preferred. And in addition to that, whenever we get out these markers and colored pencils, try and find as many different shades of that color as you can. My blues, I was able to find a light and a dark in both the colored pencils and the markers. In the greens, I found a couple of different greens in both of these. And then we also need a gray and a black marker. And I got 2 different grays of my colored pencils. We won't be needing a black colored pencil, but you can get it if you want to. All right, let me put all of this away and let's begin. All right, so to start, we just need our white piece of paper, but we need it to be a smaller size. So I'm going to start by folding the left side over to the right side, open, and cut down the center line. Okay, put half of this away, that we can use at another project another time. Then we're going to turn this one sideways like this and fold the left to the right again. Open, and again cut on that center line. All right, whichever one you want to pick, these should be the same. I'm going to choose that one, put that one aside for another time. The reason that we're choosing such a small piece of paper today is because pointillist pieces of artwork tend to take a long time. So to help us move along a little bit faster, creating a smaller work of art is really helpful. If you like this later, you can always make another one at the size that you would like. All right, to begin drawing our Eiffel Tower, we'll need our regular pencil, and we're going to start by drawing a horizon line somewhere near the bottom, not too far up. That's going to be grass down here, and then this will all be sky in the background. Then we're going to go up, 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 and put a little mark where we think the top highest part of our Eiffel Tower is going to be. Just a little mark to help us know where to stop. Now I want to look at the distance between the mark I made and the horizon line, and I want to find about halfway. It's about right here. That's about halfway, and I'm going to put another little mark right there. All right, that little mark that I just added is the very center of the Eiffel Tower. So I'm going to actually turn that little mark into a rectangle. That's about that big. Sitting on top of that rectangle is a rectangle that's just a tiny bit smaller. Okay, now we're going to work on one of the legs. So I'm going to go from my rectangle to the horizon line with a scoop. So it's not a straight line, it's a line that scoops out a little bit. And there's a matching one on the other side. Then I'm going to go back to the rectangle and go scoop again to the bottom, kind of copycatting that very first one. And then one on this side. Perfect. Now these two little rectangles, there are another set of those kind of like right about here. So it goes just a little wider than those scoopy lines I just made. And this time I have to erase the part of the legs that are going through the rectangles. Okay. Now right here in this space, I'm going to put an arch. Now I'm actually going to be using very similar lines to this again, but instead of them getting further apart at the bottom, they're going to start getting closer together. So this time I'm going to scoop from the edge of here, scoop in, and I'm going to stop just before I touch my little mark. So there's a little space in between there. Then there's a matching one on this side. And they get pretty close together at the top up here. At the top, there is another rectangle, a lot smaller this time, a curved half circle, and one little line. Now in the center right about here, there's a small little space. It almost seems like these lines continue up behind and then they show and then behind and come back down. All right, back down to the horizon line. We're going to make some trees or bushes, some sort of nature that's off to the side on both sides. If I put my line like this and I stop my line at my Eiffel Tower, it seems like my bush goes behind the Eiffel Tower. But if I do like I did on this side and go over the leg, it's like it's in front. So I have to erase the part of the Eiffel Tower where it went in front. You can decide how to do yours or you can copy mine. Then in the sky, you can put whatever details you would like. I'm going to add just a couple of clouds to mine. You could have a couple birds flying by. You could have the sun up there if you want. Whatever you'd like. I'm just going to do a few clouds. Okay, I'm going to switch out my pencil for my markers now. All right, so now we're ready to begin with our markers. So with the markers, we're going to be making literally millions of little dots. So there is a point, I'm sure for everybody, where they start to get a little bit frustrated, or their hand gets tired, or they just feel like they've been sitting too long and they want to go do something. If that happens to you, then just do it. Get up, put away your stuff for now, and come back to it when you have a fresh hand and a fresh mind and some fresh eyes to begin again. So all I'm doing now is I'm starting with my gray. And I'm making millions and millions of tiny taps. I want to be careful not to tap too hard. I don't want to flatten out the tip of my marker. I'm kind of holding it a little bit on its side too, so that I don't flatten that tip. And I'm trying to keep my little dots very close together. The less white paper that shows between the dots, the better. And I'm just going to continue this until the entire Eiffel Tower part is gray. Of course, I want you to continue using dots as you make these crisscross lines. They look like X's that are stacked on top of each other. Okay, the bars that go across, the rectangles that go across, on the top one in each one, we're going to we're going to dot some lines that go straight down. All right, perfect. I'm going to close this up and I'm going to switch to my greens. So now we're going to work on the bushes and the grass, and I want them to look different from each other, so I'll use different shades of green in each one. So for the bush, I'm going to use some of my dark green along the edges. And then I'm going to switch to my light green to fill in the space. Again, the closer together, the better. Okay, to make the grass look a different color, I'm going to choose a different shade of green. Okay, so in these larger spaces, like the grass and definitely in the sky, maybe the little bushes, but probably mostly the grass and the sky, if you are starting to get really frustrated and you feel like you have made a million dots already and you just wish it would go a whole lot faster, one of the things that you can do is you can make dots in the space like I am right now, but once you've made a handful of dots, you are also able to switch and use some colored pencils. So let me make a few more dots here and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I have filled in much of the space using my dots, but I feel like I'm not getting very far and it's taking a really long time. So if I want, I can switch to my colored pencil after I've made the amount of dots I wanted to make, and I can color gently over top of the dots, filling in all of the white spaces that are left with my green colored pencil. This will make it look like it's all finished, but I did cheat a little bit by filling in these spaces with the colored pencil. You can definitely do this if you want, or if you want to just keep going with the markers, this is what it could look like. This one is 100% dots. I didn't use any colored pencils on this one. So you can see the difference it looks if you just take a little bit longer and make sure you fill in all those spaces with dots. But it's completely up to you. I'll do this one with colored pencils so that way you can see the difference. Okay, back to my next bush. All right, so now for the biggest portion, which is the sky. And it definitely takes a while. So again, give yourself the freedom to take a break if you want to, go do something else, give your hand a break, and come back whenever you feel refreshed and ready. All right, so I'm going to continue to work on my sky, and I will be right back with you in just a few moments when I'm a little further along. All right, so there we have it. So the next thing I want to do once you have all the dots in place is, again, if you are choosing to use the colored pencils, grab your colored pencils and then you can color. And you can see the difference it makes. If I stop right now and you compare this side to this side, you can see the difference that it makes. All right, so clouds are mostly white. If you wanted to add a little bit of gray into them, gray would be an okay color to add to your clouds. Sometimes I just give them a little bit of shading around the edges with gray. And then if you felt like you needed it, your Eiffel Tower could also have the colored pencil to color it in. All right, so there we have it. We have our Eiffel Towers created using pointillism. You can see the difference that it makes. This one over here was the one that I added some color with the colored pencils. This is the one that was all dots over here. You can make your choice. Just go with the flow. Whatever you feel like doing as an artist, it's completely up to you. All right, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here next time at the Heart of a Viking. HOB artists, don't forget to hop on over to Artsonia to upload a photograph of your piece of artwork to your art portfolio. I can't wait to see it.